Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today our mission is to really cut through the noise of January through November 2025.
A very noisy 11 months.
You're not wrong. We're looking at a whole stack of specialized sources, but our anchor is the Sovereign Stability Assessment Framework.
Right, the SSF.
And its conclusion was, frankly, staggering. It said this period wasn't just a political flap, not just an economic dip, but a full systemic phase transition. The U.S. moved from what they called latent instability straight into advanced systemic instability. Okay, let's unpack this.
That phrase, systemic phase transition, that's everything. I mean, this whole analysis, it isn't based on punditry or opinion. It relies on, objective metrics. We're talking indices like the SFF, the Constitutional Unraveling Index. It's all data-driven.
So to understand it, we have to look at it chronologically.
Exactly. Through the three distinct phases the framework laid out.
Which brings us to phase I, the architecture of dissonance. This covers, what, the first quarter?
Yeah, through Q1, and they called it the phase of deceptive calm.
And what's so fascinating here is the sheer contradiction, right? You have the S&P 500 surging. It broke 6,100.
Unbelievable.
So why was the market roaring if the foundation was cracking underneath?
Well, it's the policy put. That's the simple answer. The market just believed that no matter what went wrong, policymakers would step in and save the day.
A total safety net mentality.
Total safety net. And it completely masked the structural rot that was setting in. You had CPI inflation just stubbornly at 3.0%.
Which meant the Fed's hands were tied. No easing.
No easing possible. But at the same time, look at the fiscal side. The debt limit gets reinstated at a massive $36.1 trillion with a projected deficit of $1.9 trillion.
That's the volatility trap they talk about.
That's it. They had zero financial room, absolutely no capacity to absorb the next shock.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because that trap, it snapped shut.
It did.
We go from that deceptive calm right into phase II, the kinetic acceleration.
And all those theoretical risks we just talked about,
the
deficit, the lack of monetary options, they materialized.
They forced a desperate policy move, this new tariff wave, in September. And the impact was immediate.
Oh, immediate. A disastrous reading for what they call consumer collapse. It scored a 9.0 out of 10 on the economic instability score almost overnight.
And that economic stress didn't stay economic for long.
No, it translated directly into institutional failure. I mean, the ultimate rupture of the sovereign order, it wasn't a stock market crash.
It was political.
It was military and political. We saw the federal government deploying agents, even military personnel, into cities like Portland and Broadview.
In direct opposition to the local state authorities, governors.
Exactly. I mean, that act alone signals a definitive breakdown in the entire federal structure.
And that friction just culminated in October and November. The report calls this the phase of structural crisis.
Yeah.
This is where we see the core institutions of government being, well, intentionally hollowed out.
Actively dismantled. Things like the aggressive use of Schedule F.
Which stripped job protections from thousands of civil service workers.
Right. And then you had the new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, which terminated somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 federal workers. The state was literally dismantling its own ability to function.
And you, the listener, should really note the public reaction to this.
Yeah.
It wasn't apathy.
Not at all. It fueled the No Kings II mobilization, a mass counter-movement.
We're talking between 5 and 8 million participants across the country.
That kind of turnout isn't just a protest. The report is very clear. It's a massive, organized withdrawal of consent.
So what does this all mean? The final scorecard tallied at the end of November 2025. It's just grim.
It's a rough read.
The aggregate SSF score hit 73 out of 100. And once you cross that 70-point threshold, you are firmly in advanced systemic instability.
And the specific drivers, they confirm how deep the crisis was. The economic instability score hit 68 on 100. That was driven by a record $18.59 trillion in household debt.
Wow.
The American consumer was just completely leveraged. And then the Constitutional Unraveling Index, that metric for institutional breakdown, hit 78 100.
But I think the most telling figure for anyone trying to really understand what happened is the Narrative Dissonance Index.
The NDI, yeah.
It spiked to 9.1 out of 10, an epistemic crisis.
You had the state promoting this golden age narrative, while at the very same time, 2/3, 66% of the public, believed the country was on the wrong track.
That gap, that disconnect between the official story and lived reality, it's just unsustainable.
The report is, it's unambiguous. The system's guardrails, the independent civil service, the federalist balance of power, they were either degraded or deliberately dismantled through 2025.
Exactly. And the report concludes that this advanced systemic instability, it doesn't stay home. The internal chaos, the weakening of the U.S. deterrent posture, that could immediately force Europe, the E3 nations, into a security crisis of their own.
A vacuum of leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leaves a really important question for you to think about. How quickly does domestic institutional collapse translate into global security risk?